Hello, my name is Joe Byrne. The date is the 15th of the 11th, 2016. I'm recording a piece of evidence for my social media for business level 3 qualification. Currently I am doing Unit 303 Social Network Management for a Business, and I aim to cover Learning Outcome 4 in this presentation. So today I'm looking at risk analysis and crisis management. So first of all, risk analysis is defined as the review of risk associated with a particular event or action. This is often used in regards to social media by companies and businesses to make sure that everything they do in relation to social and digital media is going to be beneficial to the company or business and its image. Digital crisis management, on the other hand, is the act of dealing with an unexpected situation that can cast a negative light on a company or individual and damage the reputation. So in this instance we're talking about social media. If a customer complained about a certain business, that kind of thing. So most companies and businesses have a digital crisis management policy or a procedure which will guide employees when faced with a digital crisis. So when we compare the two, basically a risk analysis is very different to a digital crisis. Is very different to digital crisis management. So a risk analysis is the act of preparing for a crisis, while digital crisis management is the act of dealing with an existing problem. Both are crucial to a business that are taking the presence on social media very seriously, as they must always be prepared for risks and potential crises that could appear on social media for them. So we've touched on this briefly already, but it is very important to monitor risk. It's a key step in the preparation for a crisis, and it can prevent a crisis from happening if it's carried out properly. A detailed risk assessment can lead to a high quality crisis plan being created. It can also flag up some ongoing issues that can be solved before a crisis even happens. It can also be used to prepare members of staff in a business for certain scenarios, such as an online social media crisis. Even if they don't use social media as often as their other colleagues, they'll at least have some kind of knowledge or potentially a document to refer to if they experience a social media crisis. So I just wanted to kind of give an example of an analysis. So I've decided to analyse a local branch of William Hill in the village of Hordern. So William Hill is a bookmaker, and that's probably the biggest thing to consider here, as the customers are paying into the shop in hopes of winning money back. So that already kind of creates a certain dynamic between the customers and the staff in William Hill that isn't seen anywhere else. Although the customers are given money to William Hill, they're hoping to see it back plus more, as opposed to hoping to get a product from the company. So for a successful bookmakers to work, the payouts need to be far and few between. It's going to result in a high proportion of customers not winning money, and eventually, with any bookmakers, a customer is probably going to feel cheated if they're close to winning a bet, but a minor detail might prevent them from taking the winnings. This happens all the time, and it's probably the biggest risk for a William Hill shop, as it's only going to take one upset customer that doesn't really understand why they're not getting the winnings to complain publicly about the shop on social media and to potentially damage William Hill's reputation. A disgruntled customer could say anything, especially if they're angry and not thinking straight. But an easy way to manage this risk would be to make policies that affect customers clear to those customers, make all the rules and all the information available to them, especially about technicalities with payments and certain bets. It just means the customer won't feel tricked if they don't win a bet that they otherwise might have thought they would. And it can prevent a crisis on social media because they'll realise that this was all explained to them initially when they first used the service. Another big risk to the company is if other organisations begin to accuse the company of taking advantage of those with gambling addiction and those who are in vulnerable circumstances or are vulnerable people themselves. So a way to prevent this would just to take a clear stance on the matter on social media, which could often include posting articles that would help with those with gambling addictions, or could help those in vulnerable circumstances, and obviously just for the shop to take a clear but public stance on basically not taking advantage of people with gambling addictions or people in other vulnerable circumstances that maybe feel like their only way to live for the next week is going to be to win a big bet, to be able to pay for the food or pay the bills or that kind of thing. So I've put together a kind of quick, short digital crisis plan by just bullet pointing a few recommendations for William Hill and probably most businesses that have a presence on social media. So first, they need to be analysing the data regularly on social media, using the social media tools at their disposal to basically listen to their audience, and they might be able to see a problem surfacing if some of their regular customers are complaining about a certain small detail in the bets. It's potentially that may potentially lead to a crisis if more and more people begin to complain about that. So it's good for the company or business to know that that is becoming a problem with their followers. Another piece of advice I'd give is just to keep a professional and polite manner with any disgruntled customers in the shop. So if a customer thinks that they've won something and you're able to prove that they haven't in the shop and you show them anyway, still don't be rude to them, still keep a professional and polite attitude and manner, or else that person can go away feeling a bit ticked off, and they could post anything on social media, and you never know, a certain individual might really be kind of after blood in a metaphorical sense, if they feel particularly cheated or embarrassed in the shop just for not knowing a certain little technicality. As well, as I mentioned earlier, make policies that would affect customers obvious to them, just so that they don't feel tricked if something like that comes up. So those are a few key points on preventing a crisis. However, dealing with one, so if you're a member of staff that uses social media for William Hill and you notice a crisis, you really need to immediately inform a designated person. So that's probably going to be your line manager. It might be a social media coordinator if you've got one in the business. Should also be the first to respond to the crisis with a professional attitude if you feel comfortable with that. Acknowledge the issue instead of arguing with the individual who's complained. So don't say, unless it is a flat out lie, obviously, don't try and argue with the customer and say, well, I don't think that's fair. Say, we understand there's a problem. And of course, be sorry. Just say, we are sorry you feel there's been a problem. If we can speak in a private message, then perhaps we can resolve the conflict privately, and then that kind of removes that from the public eye. And then once the issue is dealt with, and once you feel like the customer is happy, you're happy, any designated people are happy with the way it was handled, then you're going to be able to take a copy of the complaint, maybe just screenshot it, and put that on file, or put that in a kind of an area where you can see if you can resolve any the problems that stem towards that further, and just remove the complaint from social media so that it doesn't catch the eye of anyone else who might jump on the bandwagon, and it kind of puts the complaint to bed and puts the potential crisis to bed.